here this morning. We really haven't had an opportunity to meet. I've read your bio. I look forward to working with you in the next few years. Congratulations on this important appointment, and incredibly important for Wyoming. And I appreciate your willingness to join us in Wyoming at the Wyoming Stock Growers later this month in Cody, Wyoming. And I'm glad that you'll be meeting with our livestock producers and learning how you can help strengthen the management of our national forest with effective livestock grazing. I also want to congratulate you and thank you for working with Secretary of Agriculture Rollins, your work on rescinding the roadless rule a few weeks ago. That rule, to me, was outdated. It was outdated policy that has hindered forest management in Wyoming for years. This is going to restore vital forest health. It's going to help reduce wildfire risk across the country and help to boost responsible timber production. So thank you for your leadership there. With regard to timber production, over 2 years ago, the Nyman Enterprise announced layoffs and shift reductions at their Spearfish, South Dakota Forest Products facility. At their facility in Hewlett, Wyoming, they reduced down to one shift. This has significantly reduced their capacity as a result of the Biden administration's limiting of timber production, and this has impacted the sawmills all around. What's the agency doing to retain the remaining forest products infrastructure in the Black Hills National Forest?
Senator, thank you for that question. We've been working very closely with the Nymans and the industry up there to understand the issues and move forward. So there's 3 specific things that we've done. We've identified staff that we've transferred to the Black Hills, actually from Washington State, to help assist in preparing sales. We've increased funding for them in the short term to help address some of the shortfalls in funding that they've had to do more work. The other piece is we're collaborating with not only the industry, but some NGOs near Wild Turkey Federation, Mule Deer Foundation, and also with the state of Wyoming under the GNA program to increase predictability of the program for the Black Hills. So those are the 3 things we're doing: staffing, funding, and collaborating with those entities to ensure that we have the right plan in place.
Thank you. And then you're helping with the local communities as well. So
yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. In terms of, you said we must steward tax dollars wisely, and I appreciate that. We've had a number of fairly significant fires in Wyoming last year. The House Draw Fire, Johnson County, 175,000 acres. The Elk Fire, 98,000 acres. Rural communities in the West are bracing again for this year. And of course, resources are spread thin. Federal and state agencies, I believe, must work together. So can you talk about how the Forest Service is engaging state, local, and private partners to ensure we can effectively respond to wildfires?
Yes, sir. Senator, so first of all, the National Association of State Foresters represents those state interests in many cases. We've had ongoing dialogue throughout the year with them, and going into the fire season, we increased that dialogue. We've had preseason meetings with all of our cooperators, both at the local government level, the volunteers, and the state. So those meetings have been accomplished. The big thing, though, this year, operating agreements are already all in place for all the states so that when issues come up in terms of who is going to pay the cost of fighting the fire, those questions are not going to be in front of us. That's all been agreed to already. So in terms of that will not impact any tactics or strategies in fighting fire with some concern of who's going to pay for those fires. So those are things that we've done pre-season to ensure that we are prepared and working with our partners.
In this committee over the years, we talk about how many millions of acres of our national forests are at high or very high risk of wildfire. I think it's about 63 million acres right now. In fiscal year 2024, the U.S. Forest Service treated only about 4 million acres of our national forests. I think it's imperative that the U.S. Forest Service start planning on how they're going to treat all these high-risk areas within our national forest system. You inherited the prior administration's budget deficit as well. Can you talk about how you plan to lead the agency to catch up from the last 4 years in forest management?
Yes, sir. Thanks for that question. So I think the big thing is relying on partners. If you recall, there was a disaster bill passed at the end of the year last year. There was about $75 million that Sierra Pacific is putting that money to use on federal lands to create fuel breaks. So we're going to be looking at other partnerships, whether that's with NGOs, whether it's directly with industry, but helping us to manage the national forest system to increase the pace and scale of what we're doing. So that's a big part of our strategy. It's also going to be relying on states to do that.
And my final question, Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for your indulgence. Just last week, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced it'll be revising the NEPA regulations, the National Environmental Policy Act. So I commend you and Secretary Rollins for your efforts to reduce unnecessary red tape and to streamline the projects. As you're well aware, the Forest Service is required to update and develop land management plans to guide management of our national forests. I understand the U.S. Forest Service has been conducting public and stakeholder meetings, so Wyoming's voice will be heard. Currently, Wyoming, the Bridger-Teton National Forest, and the Black Hills National Forest are undergoing their forest plan revision process. Can you please give us an update on your timelines for these forest plans?
Yes, sir. Thanks for the question. So the Black Hills Plan was started in 2001. The Phase 1 assessment is complete, and we expect to have the full plan completed in 2027. So there's ongoing public involvement there. On the Bridger-Teton Plan, that was started in 2024. The draft assessment is out currently today for public review. That public review will end in August of '25, and we expect that entire process should take 2 to 3 years to complete that process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.